Hello everyone, here's Wursti, and today we'll analyze a solo queue game of Zookeeper Taku. He's currently Diamond 5 as far as I'm informed, and yeah, let's see what he can improve. So, I want to pause here to mention last hitting under the turret. As we can see, this wave here is slowly moving towards the turret, and since the own minion wave is so far away, they will definitely be attacked by the turret. And the job of the supporter in this case is to help the ADC last hitting. While usually supports don't have anything to do with last hitting, except maybe melee supports, you need to help your ADC. I know most supports don't like to do that because, if we're honest, you can't do things right as support. If you mess up these last hits, then it's your fault. If you don't touch these minions, it's your fault. It's always your fault, no matter what you're doing. But you have to try if you want to improve. So we will see that Lucian will miss, I think, every single one of these minions. And of course, as support, you can say, come on, Lucian has his spells, he can double attack if he needs to, he can use his spells damage to deal damage and to get these minions, but then he has to invest mana. So if you really want to get your lane ahead, you need to help. And you can already see that these minions, they will be one-shotted by the turret at their current HP level. So you need to or to pre-hit them, so that Lucian only has to right click on them and then he can kill them. This minion is probably okay depending on the turret focus and the damage of these minions. So you see here, Lucian uses his dash, great, he gets this siege minion. And now the turret will just last hit these two minions. And yeah, well, in the meantime, these minions are damaging this minion. So again, Bard could try to do an auto attack and allow Lucian to get this minion without using any spells. So as we just saw, Bard didn't do anything while these minions just burned into the turret. So try to help your ADC as support. That's kinda your job, even if it sucks. Here we'll see a very aggressive trade, mostly initiated by Lucian. Here we saw already Bard missed his stun, which, well, might have been a bit unlucky, but yeah, both are trying to kill this Kaylee here. Lucian uses ultimate, great exhaust by Kaylee, and Bard is moving very defensively, I'd say. He's moving away from the fight, so to speak. And I'm honestly not quite sure why. Was he afraid of misfortune? Was he afraid that Kaylee might hit him with her AoE? Not quite sure, but here Bard switches the target. And well, yeah, that exhaust was not very good, because the main damage source for Lucian right now is Kaylee, and Misfortune doesn't really do anything right now, except maybe one or two auto attacks. Maybe Bard expected a Misfortune ult, but she got ultimate on cooldown, so at some point it's important to remember when did the opponents use their ults. So, and because Bard didn't keep attacking this Kaylee, but moved so defensively, Kaylee actually manages to get her ult out with 15 HP. Obviously we don't know if Kaylee had just used her ult a bit sooner, or if anything else would have happened if Bard would have kept focusing with Kaylee, but in the end this is just a disaster. And well, Bard is still doing nothing and misses another stun. Oh yeah, just walks around, basically. He uses here his heal, but it's certainly not enough. And after this Misfortune Flash, Lucian dies. And I have to mention that Lucian had heal up, so he had some tools available he didn't use. But so did Bard, as he missed 2 stuns. And then in the end he also dies, so this is a total disaster for bot lane and might have been prevented by Bard hitting the stuns, or if he had kept focusing on Kayle. Here we will see an engage by Bard. As we can see, Eve is moving bottom and Lucian is also here, so we have 3 members of one team and 3 members of the other team. So an engage is questionable. Why would you want to engage 3 versus 3 if there's no objective? Do you really think you're that much stronger than the opponents? And he engages with his ultimate. Obviously a great engage tool in some cases. But what did you really accomplish by ulting these 2 people? You usually want to use the Bard ult either to neutralize a damage source, like if you attack these 2 people, you Bard ult Misfortune, or you ult these 2 and focus Misfortune. So basically you have a number advantage for a very short amount of time. Or you want to buy your team time, for example to escape, or to give your team time to position correctly to kill these 2. The problem is Eve is that far away that it doesn't really matter. Or if you want to help Eve to position better, you should have used your tunnel, your magical journey. You could have easily traveled here and then you would have been in a very dangerous spot, like right in front of Misfortune with her ult and between these 2. But if you don't want to fight this, if you don't want Eve to be in a position, in a flank position or in a fighting position, then why are you even using your ultimate? So this fight starts, another Bard stun misses, so the Bard stuns are definitely something to work on. The team focuses Misfortune. As mentioned, Misfortune was the one member who was really far away, so if you wanted to engage with Misfortune, this was probably not the best situation. And the main problem, of course, in this 3 vs 3 is that Kayle has ultimate, so she can decide to save Misfortune or any other teammate at any time, like she does here. And yeah, well, this was an engage, and suddenly we notice, oh no, Misfortune has ultimate, and if she uses it, we have to disengage. Like, we could save the Bard stun or the Bard ultimate to cancel the Misfortune ultimate, or something like that. And yeah, in the end, Eve dies. Lucian is in no position to keep fighting, he nearly died too. So what exactly was the plan with this Bard ultimate? I don't think there was a plan. So yeah, bad ultimate usage, the stun missed, the tunnel was not used. So yeah, strange engage for bad results. Here we have another fight going on. Let's go a bit back. So the blue team zones their own dragon. They see Poppy, they see Renekton. They start to zone them, harass them, to poke them. Renekton goes into Tam. Eve goes into Tam. Renekton drops, Eve gets away, so everything fine till now. So, Bard and Ryze keep going aggressively on Poppy, which is fine till the point they reach this narrow space here, this choke point. And suddenly Orianna has a really great possibility to just block this path with her orb, her ult, her damage. So moving in here was a mistake. Bard's reaction, probably to dodge 2 ultimates, was to use his tunnel, which, well, you can do that. I think flashing here backwards would have been the better choice, because now you're deep in enemy territory. You know, somewhere there's an Orianna, somewhere there's a Poppy, you have no idea about the rest of the team. And yeah, you can't expect Ryze to also take the tunnel and travel somewhere deep into the enemy territory. Why would he do that with low mana? And yeah, so there's no one who can help you in this position. And yeah, Kayle comes and you get surrounded and die. So stay away from choke points against Orianna. And yeah, retreat towards your team or towards the area you control and not the enemy territory. I just want to mention something about item builds. I have to admit I'm not the greatest expert in item builds because the meta changes so fast and there are so many champions and so many items. But in my opinion, going for the Hextech Revolver isn't very great as support. Your job as supporter is really to help your team to win the game, and while damage surely does help, you have to consider which items do your team need. Does your team need? And well, you have your Sightstone now, which is great. You have some boots, yeah, your supporter item. But the item your team really needs against these opponents is something to help your team to stay alive. They got a Renekton with 4 kills, they got a Miss Fortune with 4 kills, they got a Orianna with 3 kills. And even if Kayle is only a support, the late game damage will be insane at some point. So I really think you should have bought on Aegis at some point, and you can, if you want to, you can upgrade it to a Banner of Command if you still want some AP, but your team needs a bit support to survive. And even something like a Frozen Heart could be more useful than a Hextech Revolver in the long run, just to survive some Miss Fortune and Kayle damage. So these are just my 2 cents about this Bard item build, which is pretty aggressively, I'd say. Here we see another Bard alt engage. We have a Miss Fortune and an Orianna here in the middle, and a Ryze who seems to attempt to go back to base, and an Eve. So maybe it's a 2 versus 2, since Ryze doesn't look like he wants to join the fight. He will probably be there too late. And we don't have any vision of any other opponents. This is just a whole dark black space here. And if we disable the Fog of War, we see that at least Kayle is somewhere nearby, Poppy is also quite close, but we can't see them as the blue team. So this kind of engage is very risky. There could be 3 members standing right here, and the whole team jumps in and finds out that they are heavily outnumbered. So you shouldn't engage without proper sight. So all about the Smart Ult, yeah, you hit Miss Fortune. But what is the plan? Is the plan you run in here, manage to hit both with your stun? Or to just hit Orianna with your stun and Eve just bursts Orianna? One-shots her? Because if your team at some point groups here and tries to engage against an Orianna with 4 kills and a Miss Fortune with 4 kills, they will use their teamfight abilities, and then you will have a problem. So you successfully stunned Miss Fortune, congrats on that, but that's about it. And while this doesn't seem too bad, I mean, yeah, you wasted your ultimate, you keep going, you keep trying to be aggressive, Poppy flanks, you notice you're the only range damage dealer right here, so you have to retreat. And this whole fight is just another disaster. It would be worse if both teams would be more coordinated. Yeah, you have to use your flash here. I think Lucian dies at some point. The whole team is now grouped in one place, which is in a narrow place. On a lane it wouldn't be that bad, but it's really in the jungle, in narrow spaces against an Orianna, a Kaylee, a Misfortune. This is bad news. And it all somehow resulted from this strange engage in the middle. So yeah, Wukong engages, because even though Ryze wanted to go back, and Bard has used his flash and his ultimate, and Lucian is not really in a great condition. Of course we have to engage, because disengaging is no option. And yeah, well, Orianna out without an edge rise in your team, it's just devastating. Another missed Bard Storm, just for the record. Yeah, you kill Misfortune, but this fight could have ended even worse for your team. So another rather strange engage, and without sight or without vision. So a bad engage, a risky engage, and without any real follow-up plan, except to hope, I don't know, Ryze uses his ultimate and everyone is on the same page. And this just won't work in solo queue like that. Here we have another team fight going on. I think this is some kind of important lesson. So let's see what happens. Bard uses a good ultimate this time. He freezes two people, so his own team can focus on running. So you have a number advantage now. And obviously the team engages. And they also get Kaylee, so that's great. And at this point it's like 5 versus 1, or this is how it looks like. The important thing to remember here is that again you don't see anyone on this minimap. You have no idea if these 3 missing people are standing here, is standing here, you have no idea. And I know it's hard to not try to greed on Orianna, but as soon as people are visible here, this whole fight gets a bit messy. We see Ryze uses his ultimate, Bard uses his tunnel, the whole team just is in full engage and full greed mode, maybe? Yeah, they run right into the Misfortune ultimate. Suddenly, yeah, Bard is dead. Lucian is in a 1-on-1 versus a Poppy, not the greatest matchup for him. And Ryze and Eve are suddenly behind the enemy lines, which can work. But yeah, in the end this fight, which was kind of won with this very reckless chase here, without having any vision again. You just sacrificed your teamfight victory. You just threw it away again. And I know it's hard. I mean, if you have gap closers like a Bard Tunnel and a Ryze ultimate, why wouldn't you use them to chase? But I just want to bring this example. Especially if you watch LCS and see that these teams are playing very defensively and ward so much. It's because vision is so important. You need to know where's the rest of this team. Can you engage? Can you use all your gap closers blindly into an area you have no idea who is there, who's in control of this area?
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
Let's look at another team fight. Both teams are somewhat zoning each other here, and then Bard decides to rotate to the middle lane. As we can see, he has a full stacked Sightstone. He has 4 wards to place, so if he knew people are here, why didn't he drop a ward somewhere, just to see what are these guys doing? Are they coming into our jungle? Are they just running away? We don't know. And even more, he provides the opponents with a tunnel. So we have no idea, will someone come out of here? It's like a brush. Is someone standing in here? We have absolutely no idea. Bard wastes his stun, difficult word. And yeah, two people are just dancing in front of the tunnel, wasn't quite sure. Maybe there was a Kaylee, maybe. And suddenly, oh, we get flanked. What unexpected surprise. It's always a bit sad to see a support with a full stacked sidestone to be surprised by a flank when he just ran around this area a few seconds ago. Oh, he uses his ultimate to disengage, which probably was necessary. He misses another stun. The team tries to go aggressively against an Orianna, and all in all it's 3 versus 4. So this is, I don't really know why. Orianna gets a great ultimate off. Bard has to flash. The team is in full commit mode. And at some point just can't get out of this mess. So this is another example of a few things. And the first thing is you really have to ward more as support if you have a full stack sidestone, especially if there are opponents visible in an area nearby. And okay, maybe this was a bit unlucky that Bard provided them such a great flank possibility. But going aggressively or doing a frontal assault against an Orianna is just suicide, as we just saw here. This should never happen. Even if you want to engage 3 versus 4, which is a bad idea, Eve should have tried to flank. With Bard you have to try to flank with tunnels. You just can't cluster at one spot. And especially not charge at an Orianna with a few people. So yeah, this was another very bad fight for the blue team. Another team fight. We see another Bard ult. I'm not quite sure what the plan of this Bard ultimate was. It looks a bit like, hey, I have 3 enemies on one spot, so let's just freeze them and let's see what happens. Maybe we can group around them, maybe Wukong doesn't manage to get the kill, I don't know. He forced the flash of Orianna, which is good. But in the end we have another strange standoff. In this case we actually, or the blue team actually has a number advantage. So maybe we could have engaged, but since the opponents are that far ahead, nearly 10k ahead, yes, it's very difficult to find a great engage. Especially if they have champs that aren't, or that are very great at not getting engaged. Poppy, Orianna, Kaylee, they all have some survivability tools, some slow tools, some knockback tools. So while you could argue that Bard ults in general, or in solo queue in general, are very difficult to hit, because you need to have your team react just like you want them to react. Like I said, I'm not quite sure what the plan was. Maybe it was, hey guys, I have 3 people CC'd, you can't attack them by I have them CC'd, but hey, you can think about what to do next. Maybe, do we want to engage them? Do we want to retreat? But yeah, it just seems like we don't get very much value out of these Bard ultimates. The blue team loses this game in the end because the opponents have such a great lead, and now no one of this blue team build any item which helped the team to win teamfights. And teamfights really were the main problem in this game. And about the Bard player himself, I kinda dislike most of his spell usages. Like you want to use the Bard tunnel to flank the opponents, like in this case. If you don't want to flank them, of course you don't use the tunnel. But my point is you never found a great possibility or a great situation to use the tunnel correctly. Here you gave the opponents an opponent to flank you, which, well, is bad. Here you used the tunnel to chase opponents, which was risky because here there was no vision. Same thing here, okay, you used the tunnel to dodge one or two ultimates, but in the end you also used it to a spot you had no vision. So I would call this a bad tunnel too, and better flash backwards. The ultimates were all a bit random. I'm sure you had a plan or an idea what to do, but just to freeze a team of opponents in one place, like here or like here, is most of the time not good enough. There must be some kind of better plan. Like if you engage and you freeze half the opponents, that's a plan. You have a number advantage. The other opponents can't move. You can you kinda tell your team what opponents to focus. The same goes for these disengages. When Renekton jumped in here, you just used your ultimate and said, okay, we can disengage. The plan is obvious for everyone. But if you just, like here, throw an ultimate somewhere in this area and say, hey team, I hit some people, let's do something, that's not enough in solo queue. So, better use the ultimate with immediate, visible, or understandable value, so your team knows what to do, and you don't just waste your ultimate like 3 or 4 times in the whole game and nothing happens. And the same goes for, well, hitting your stuns, but that's practice. Everyone needs to practice hitting skill shots. So that's about it. I hope it was helpful in some way.